My lips match Sybil's glasses and Quinn's top.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and we were going through and Quinn was talking about Myra's brows,
Yes.
and then they were noticing that all of our nails match. Uh,
Yes. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
You remember that
no,
class?
no, oh, okay. So it's all girls today. Welcome in, Myra J. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Young Quinn, how you doing?
I'm doing good. This is the week before classes start. So the students are rolling in.
Oh, how is that?
It's interesting.
Does
This is
it take you
our
back to a year or so ago?
I was thinking about because somebody had brought up Walmart, and I did think back to when my mother and my grandmother, everybody drives, you up to school. And I
Mhm.
thought about like, what was the thing that we bought first from Walmart? But then I remembered how, because our orientation program at my alma mater, the University of Dayton, Ohio, my mom signed me up for like a pre-orientation program. So I had to leave them earlier, and so when I came back, my whole room was like, decorated. And she had bought
Aw.
me like Nabisco, like Oreo thins, and just like made my bed all pink and pretty. And I had like the Chicago train map. And I just remember like feeling so, so, so loved. So I hope all the students feel loved and like
Mm.
protected.
If
Um,
not, Quinn will go to everybody's room and make them all feel
I don't
loved
know,
and
not for those
welcomed.
kids. I'm in my office. Some of those
She's got
kids are
office hours.
nasty. Residence halls are so nasty. I don't know how people work in housing. That's something I could not do. Don't y'all
So did
remember how dirty the bathroom was on your college campus? Like that was
we didn't have
disgusting.
dirty bathrooms.
Oh,
No, I
No, we
remember ours being pretty clean. Yeah.
oh dang,
yeah.
maybe it got worse with generation.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
After you
Y'all
get to
little
a point
nasty children.
with you guys, not having to clean the bathrooms every week and all that, because
Yeah.
there's a generation of kids they don't know from cleaning their rooms and cleaning the bathrooms in the house.
And a lot of kids don't know how to do their laundry.
That's
We
another
teach
thing.
about
Yeah.
that too. So that's interesting.
So the
Wow.
one thing my mother did give me, and this was in advance of the wipes and things, was what did they call them? Handy wipes. The little they came in the little package. She gave me
Mm.
a box of those and sent me off with some thongs, some shower shoes.
Oh.
Oh.
No, Myra. No, no, no. She gave
Quinn's laughing too.
she well, we used to call them thongs before the panties took over.
I went,
But
that's
shower shoes.
interesting.
Yeah.
My mom gave me thongs.
And she sent me away with grandma panties too. So,
Okay.
there was no thongs, no thongs there.
Okay.
But or we used to call them, refer to them as other things. But that was it. But just in terms of cleaning things off, and a little ammonia to clearing out your drawers and stuff like that. That's what my mom started with in my dorm. But we didn't have nasty bathrooms. I don't remember
Yeah,
those.
I just remember my mom is very much so, I don't want to say a clean freak, but she is very like hyper cognizant and aware of like dust, and like so she had all the wipes, all the Clorox, and she was wiping everything down before the sheets were put on. And when you brought up your mom giving you handy wipes, I remember like how many cleaning supplies and
Yeah, a
products
bucket.
I had
You had a bucket?
over like
Yeah,
the cool stuff like lava lamps
yeah.
and stuff like that. It was like, you want Clorox wipe, you want the bootlegged brand of wipes, or do you want like the cheap kind of bootlegged brand of wipes? So I had all those things, but
So Quinn, we didn't wait till I got to school to get my sheets and comforter and stuff. We got them before we left Chicago, and my mom just had me washing all your sheets because you don't want to get on those. They're fresh, but you don't know where they've been. So we were
exactly.
washing the sheets and the duvet covers and the towels and all that stuff before I could pack them, and then I would have to go and find a place to wash them again. Coming out of
Did you guys have a trunk party after high school?
no, and I heard about this
That's
year.
that's
Yeah.
something that, yeah, that's your generation. Look,
Okay.
When we graduated, it was like, congratulations, college is that way. And
Well, mine was a little bit more. I mean, we, for graduation gifts, I got those things, but we
Yeah.
didn't have a
I didn't.
trunk party. We just had,
Okay.
like my godmother gave me a trunk and, put stuff in it, but not a trunk party. Yolanda's niece, Anaya, has gone off to college on the East Coast. And there was, talk about, at her graduation, I brought her a graduation gift. I go, oh, she's going to have a trunk party. It's like, oh, okay. Well, good for her. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so you got 3 opportunities to give
Right.
me money.
Right. Well, here's her gift. And
Yeah. When you say
yeah,
you left Chicago with the sheets, I thought you had a trunk party because I did have everything I need at my trunk party, and we drove from Chicago to Ohio. But
right.
you
Yeah.
always have a last minute Walmart trip, like, oh, like you probably want some
Hmm.
snacks, or like, oh,
And
you need
and
a
Quinn,
notebook.
this was before Target and Walmart.
Where did you shop?
We had Kmart and we had
No, we just went out into
Venture.
the fields, Quinn, and pulled our fruits and vegetables and snacks out of the dirt. We
No, you bartered it. You traded.
Yeah, we bartered. Yeah, and grandma would would
was out there
make
with
us little snacks with her rolling pin. Yeah, yeah.
she was out there making French fries, peeling the potatoes.
Turning the milk.
Yes,
That's right. That's right.
yes,
That's right.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And teaching us how to make foods on our hot plates.
She did talk about she used to cook meals all the time on her hot plate in her dorm, which I think now, would you say it's similar to our air fryer now, or more so like those skillet things that are in the middle of your
Yeah,
The skillet thing in the middle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. More like that because you could grill a um a grilled cheese
Cheese
sandwich and
sandwich.
things like that. Yeah, on a hot plate. Yeah, before the microwaves. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh my God, I feel so. Oh, you kids go on and do the newfangled streaming show without me. We are talking with young Quinn, who is one of our contributors for the What You Need to Know newsletter, and Myra J., who is also one of the world's best comedians. Stephen Hill is off today. His better half is singing, as she is the songbird. And so she is in concert tonight. And we are talking, let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday effort to super serve the African American community with the stories that we do. And Quinn is our LGBTQ contributor. And Quinn, we'll start with you and your story about Wayne Brady. And Wayne Brady came out with a new announcement.
Yeah, so in a People exclusive interview, Wayne Brady, who is the host of Let's Make a Deal, came out as pansexual. And I believe this is news for like multiple reasons, but I think one of them is because he has a child and he was originally
He
married.
had a long time marriage, yeah.
Yeah, his daughter is 20 years old. And I think it's also news because, people don't think that people are gay, even though everybody gay, but
Okay.
So we can talk about why, like the definition of pansexual, how he
Yeah,
defines
that's what I want to know.
and then we can go into like how other folks define it. Okay,
So when I first saw this story, Quinn, I was like, well, that means just everybody is welcome to Wayne Brady's world.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah.
is that fair?
Yes, little it really is. And honestly, again, like for all of these terms, that'd be lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, even, like they are all personal and they all are like individually defined. And so that's the thing with like sexual identity. It really is up to that person. And of course, there are dictionary definitions similar to like how you would define Black. And if somebody would define it as something as this, somebody else would define it as something as that. But there is no monolithic, there is no singular type of box. But Wayne Brady wants to define it as bisexual with an open mind. He said that pan means being able to be attracted to anyone who identifies as gay, straight, bi, transgender, or gender non-binary, being able to be attracted to across the board. And that is synonymous with how GLAAD, which is a large LGBTQ plus nonprofit organization, and how they would define it as a person who has the capacity to form enduring physical, romantic, and or emotional attractions to any person, regardless of gender identity. Now, personally, that is also how I would identify. I prefer the term queer. And I don't know if you guys remember when I had my friend Clarence on here, and
Yes.
he came out as pansexual as well. So this just, it really, I think this term really originally started as bisexual, but because now that folks are trying to be gender expansive and not just, talk about male or female, this includes folks who are trans. This includes folks who are intersex. This includes folks who are androgynous or, whoever, and just allowing that person to be attracted to all of those people and in between.
Well,
Is that,
are
you
no,
confused?
no, you're very clear for me. Myra, what about
No,
you?
no, I've got it. I'm like a sponge. Thank you, Quinn. I took no, because my biggest question, because I was trying to figure out the difference between pan and bi,
Yeah.
and she cleared it up for me. So see, you live and you learn. You learn something every day, and that's a good day. See, I learned
Yeah.
something.
Just
Yeah.
think of pan as like a panoramic view, right? Bi is just two things, man and women. Pan is like, wow, there's all these things in between that, before that, outside of that exist. And it's just
Pan
like,
is everybody.
yes, basically. Yeah.
Got it. See that?
And let's talk about non-binary, the terminology that you use. Let's talk about that a little bit. How do you explain that?
So folks kind of switch up between the terms gender expansive or gender non-binary means that they do not define themselves as man or woman. So this will be somebody who uses the pronouns they or them, or this would be somebody who doesn't want to use pronouns. So an example of that, I believe there's a celebrity. Oh, we can say Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe prefers pronouns using they or she. But the fact that they prefer they means that they do not ascribe to a specific type of gender. And so I know that they recently had corrected a magazine that called them a woman, and they called them out like, hey, like I actually don't prescribe to a gender identity or a gender definition.
Can you be committed in a pansexual relationship?
Oh
I
yeah.
would think so.
Yeah, just because you're attracted to anybody doesn't mean that you are
No,
interested.
no, no, no. Well, no, that's why I'm asking, because it just seems like here you are one day, and then maybe in another time that I mean, I'm interested in men, and but oftentimes when I'm in a committed relationship, then somebody else comes along.
Right.
So, but I'm just wondering, do they consider themselves to be a part of committed relationships?
Yeah, there's a difference between being queer or pansexual and polyamorous, right? Like
Polyamorous. That's what I was thinking about. Okay.
yeah, so just because I'm attracted to gender expansive folks and folks within the binary does not mean that I want to date multiple people. It just
Right.
means that I can find myself in a relationship with somebody that uses they them pronouns, or somebody that is trans, or somebody that is intersex. But polyamorous folks are folks that do have the capacity to be in relationships with multiple people. And those two are not the same things. One is
That's the term. Yeah.
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 Polyamory. That's the term
Yeah.
that I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I
That whole
apologize for
amorous
mixing up.
family, you have to watch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poly, and all the rest of them. Yeah.
That is something I'm not that familiar about, but I did date somebody who was polyamorous. So I know I attended one workshop and my mind was blown like, wow, like this is a lot. So there's a lot of
So
stuff.
did you have to, as a part of dating the person, did they send you to a workshop?
No, I did it
Oh,
because I really loved them and I wanted to learn more about how they identified. And this was also my first relationship with somebody who was gender non-binary. So I was very new and I was just like, okay, let me read as many books and like try to get as many familiar, with pronouns and like all these things. And the workshop was really, really safe and it was brave. And I was too shy to ask like questions. I think I even had my camera off just because like I was just, so nervous with the things. But afterwards, like we talked about it and, they had told me like, hey, well, I'm in a relationship with you. So right now I am monogamous, although I do identify as polyamorous. So they had chose to be monogamous with me. But yeah, it was
this
cool.
sounds like an episode of The Shy. Once again,
Shout out to Wayne Brady. He did say how he first came out to his wife, who he's still best friends with, and his daughter before this People interview. And apparently, like as you read through the rest of the article, he talks about mental health how Robin Williams death really affected his spirit, and he's also coming out with a reality show about being a blended family because his ex-wife is expecting a new baby with her new partner.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good interview. I learned a lot about him. So yeah.
It's really interesting, and I think it's going to be called "Let's Make a Deal." I'm sorry, that was a whole nother
You know
show.
what?
That's good. That's good. That's good.
So thank you. I hope you don't get tired of these questions
Oh,
and okay.
this
Because
is helping me too. I was at the Black Feminist Conference that I attended over the weekend. We were talking about not only just grace, but just like how, as Black people specifically, we need to learn the language to talk to each other. And I feel
right.
like oftentimes with all of these terms, right? Like it really is okay. Let's just get to the root. Like Myra said, okay, so you track to everybody, cool. And it's like, oh well, yeah, basically, shit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Pretty
I can
much.
say gender fluidity, I can say gender expansive, but it's like that's not how my cousin talks. That is not how my auntie talks. That is not how my grandma talks. So I'm gonna say, yes, this is my girlfriend. Yes, we're lesbians. Like
Yeah.
whatever, actually translates well. So
Mhm.
that there's mutual respect and like actual understanding. Because right now with cancel culture, you have a lot of queer youth that are just like really, really frustrated with their family for not either accepting them, but they haven't also really tried talking to them, and like vice versa. And so like I appreciate the opportunity for you guys to listen, but for me to listen to you guys as well and like think about the questions because it's helping me.
From the old broad section.
Right.
Yes. I heard a story about a young man who was coming out to his either his parents or his grandparents, and before he left for college, he left them with a book, and he said, "This is probably the best explanation of who I am and where I am right now," and left it for the family to read. And when he came home for the holidays, whatever the holiday was, they felt, they didn't do a lot of talking, kind of checking in and seeing if you're okay, kind of messaging, but they felt as though that they had a better idea. Have you heard of people having to explain who they are to their family in that way, and because they didn't really know how to explain it, but there are books that are available?
Yeah, I haven't. I don't know anybody personally who gave their family a book, but I do know personally within my life, I have shared so many articles or like
Hmm.
videos with my mom, and even like with my siblings and like my friends. I know even after like the whole Jess Hilarious thing, every once in a while,
Oh,
like every year, I just like doing a nice check within my circle of people, like, hey, I need you to know this is offensive, or like, hey, do you know I'm in a relationship with a woman? And so, like these current events, and just bringing them to the dinner table, I think is very, very healthy and nutritional. Even if it is a book, but like something that you can allow this to take up space with
mhm.
your family is just good. It's a good thermometer to like kind of gauge like where are people at and like and how do people feel. Even like with our current political events, like
That's exactly where I was going to go with this, Quinn,
Mhm.
because your brother wrote a story. That would be Cameron Riley, wrote a story in the newsletter. He is our political contributor, talking about Kamala Harris and how the Joe Biden campaign, is making a strategic case for Vice President Kamala Harris's position on the Democratic ticket, as if it was a question that she was not going to be on the ticket. And sometimes you have to check in and see where people are. And if the majority of the Democratic Party is not with her and they have to sell her as if this was 4 years ago, there's a problem.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's a problem. And it's like, oh, she gets, a lot of great feedback, and the young Black people really appreciate her, and the young voters, the young Black people, the non-white people, all of these things they're trying in order to sell her. You got to sell this woman now.
Mm.
I know she's getting a lot of hatred from the Republican Party. A lot of the Republican candidates right now are, using her as an example. Well, if something happens to President Biden, this is what we're going to be left with. But to have to sell this to your people and not know, Myra, that just seems ridiculous to me.
Mhm. Mhm. You're right. You're right. It will. Well, don't. I wasn't ready to talk about the Republican Party or the
Well, no, not
Democratic
that,
Party.
but
I
just the
just,
fact that I think she's proven herself. That's my
mhm,
point.
mhm,
And the fact that Joe's out there going, look at what she can do.
mhm,
She's out there fighting for women's reproductive rights. She's out
mhm.
there, you name it, and she and she was handcuffed by the whole border situation, but
Right.
she's really out there doing the damn thing. And the fact that you got to sell her, no, that ain't cool. You got to come up with something
Expressed
good.
interest in running for president. Do we know already?
I'm sorry, say again.
Do we know who else has expressed interest in running for president? Like, or is it?
Yeah, well, there's a
That
couple of
crazy,
other people.
the crazy Kennedy man.
Robert Kennedy Jr. is running, as well as Cornel West is running as a
Oh,
third
right,
party
right.
candidate.
I
And
wasn't.
there's a lot of concern about them, siphoning off some of these votes, and especially young black men who are already kind of on the fence about Joe Biden. And so it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. And speaking of those that are on the fence, we also talk in the newsletter about the Georgia indictments, and they came down this week. And
Something's happening in. I'm not home. Something is happening in Georgia, in Fulton County.
that's the night the lights went out in Georgia, and Donald Trump got his fourth indictment in as many months. So um, let us move on to trending topics, and we can talk about that. I'm sorry, we're going to move on to the question of the day: what's really going on? And this is a result of me today. Um, I misplaced my phone, and where I thought it was not. And I could not reach out to the people that I needed to, namely Yolanda, who was going to take me to drop off my car today. And so I don't have a landline in my home. I'm working on that because I just didn't think that I needed it. And so the question of the day is, do you have an emergency plan? If you find yourself without your phone and you don't have a laptop, and luckily I was able to make some communications through my laptop and email, but if if God forbid you lost your phone and you maybe got robbed, or maybe a fire broke out like in Hawaii, how do you communicate with people? What's the plan that you have shared? Or a storm comes through and you have no power and you are away and your children are at home. What's your plan? Where do you go? Like it used to be, Quinn, when I was a little girl, my mother said, if we get separated, I want you to find a woman that looks like she could be your mother, or go to, we would leave the Carson Perry Scott, let's say, in Evergreen Plaza. And at customer service, there was a friendly lady there. And she said, you come here, and they will, put my name over the PA system. So are we still having those discussions about, in case of an emergency,
Yep.
break this glass? What's the
Yep.
plan,
Yep.
Myra?
First of all, everyone, in your phone under ICE, in case of emergency, put your contact person in there, because if you're hurt in a car accident or blah blah blah, and somebody grabs your phone or whatever, they don't know to call Gigi because that's your best friend. You know,
Mm-hmm.
put that person or whoever that contact under ICE. People are trained to look under the word ICE for in
Yep.
case of emergency. I had given my granddaughters a weather radio because they were young kids
Wow.
at home by themselves while their mother worked. With this crazy climate change and weather going on, you can, tornadoes never come here, hurricanes never come here. People should be well aware what to do. They would know to get in the bathtub, to cover their heads, who to contact. We need, especially as Black people, we need to be really serious about climate change and emergencies, what to do, and who to contact.
Who would have thought that a wind and electric, dry bush wind and electric wires, power wires, would kick off a wildfire on the island of Maui? And now this kind of death and destruction is left in its wake.
It's
Um,
crazy.
it's bananas. Quinn, did you guys have tornado drills when you were a little one in school?
No, and I was gonna say I don't know much about responses to climate emergencies. I would say growing up in Chicago, I do remember lots of like fire drills, but I think this is the reason why my mom has never changed her cell phone number. Just
Mm-hmm.
so if I were to ever lose my number, I know that I can call hers. But I think that's also the brilliance, I should say, like of Apple, because I know when I had left my phone, I think like in the Uber, you have the Find My Phone thing on like all of your Apple devices, and just I have
Mm-hmm.
an Apple laptop, I have an iPad, and I also clearly have like my phone, but I was able to locate it through there. And I know even when we had like our family emergencies, like my location is shared with my siblings all the time, so Cameron and Corey could literally always just like see where I'm at. May not clearly not what I'm doing, but they could always see like, okay, Kwynn is clearly home. And I know there's a few apps where you could like download as a family, where you could also see if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
an iPhone based on Android. But I think that's also like really cool about being raised by a single mom, is that I feel as if my mom really did prepare us for like almost anything. And I grew up, we talked about having wipes, but like my mom always has like some type of aquaphor or like aloe vera plant, like in case, us have a wound. She always had snacks or like something in the car. She says literally she's the most prepared person that I've ever met. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that she made sure to also pass down to her kids. So like when you talk about having a weather phone, in my first car, I had a whole like emergency kit that I never used. But
Right.
like that was one of
I
the
did
first things I
too.
wanted to buy, because I was like, I'm not gonna be left out here on the side of the road, in case anything happens. We also have a family password or family phrase that we say to each other if we,
Mm-hmm.
need somebody to pull up, because we got those
Mhm,
cousins on that side of the family that will handle
mhm,
things.
mhm.
So that's something I've known since like 10 years old as well too.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I I used to keep an emergency bag in the trunk of my car when I lived in Los
Really?
Angeles
Yeah.
for earthquakes, because you just never ever
No.
know.
Right.
And I have blanket, water, and sneakers. Women, we need to have flat, comfortable shoes. I know you look good in your heels and blah blah blah, but in case of an emergency,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get to running or climbing or whatever you need to do. That
Mhm.
old pair of sneakers that you keep them in the trunk of the car. Just
On a
keep them in the trunk.
blanket and
A
all of
blanket.
those things.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I remember the first hurricane coming through when I lived in Southwest Florida, and I just kind of and my mom said, "What happened to your emergency kit?" And I said, "Well, I ate it because I'd run out of money." And so, my one check went for my rent, and the other check went for all the other stuff to pay my car and buy groceries, and I run out of money for groceries, and so I went into the emergency kit. And I remember going into a public store and following this woman around the store, and what they got was mostly water and non-perishables and things like that. But it's really important that you have it. And tornadoes, they come with such a fierceness. But hurricanes, you've got time to prepare, either to get away or to hunker down, as they say.
Mhm.
But it's really important. I'm wondering if people have any emergency plans or emergency actions that they want to share with us today. Um, and the other thing we're talking about is a generator.
Mhm.
Because we lost power, or not, we didn't, but many people in Texas lost power during the winter, and now
Mhm.
we have brownouts with the heat and everything. But it that makes a big difference too.
Yeah, and I keep, well, back in California, my friends would always tease me. If anything goes down, everybody, the plan is go to Myra's house.
Yeah.
Everybody knew. I keep extra water. I keep
Mhm.
staples like tuna, peanut butter, because you just never ever know when something crazy. Maui, they didn't see this coming.
Yeah, for real, for real.
Nobody saw
And
it
people
coming.
were separated, and now they can't find their relatives.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that's
Of
really
course, phone.
um, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, say again.
I was gonna say I've been following some in indigenous or Pacific Islander activists, and they've been asking people specifically not to donate to the Red Cross, and that's because of the Red Cross's history of like predatory
Right.
behavior,
Yeah.
what they did
Hmm.
in Haiti. So just to
Well,
clarify,
Haiti and Katrina and other things, they've
Hmm.
got a
yes.
bad rap.
So please, like, try to find an actual legit organization that is
Hmm.
helping these people, And they're also asking people to stop coming to Hawaii. They've been asking that for the longest of times. So hopefully, like, this will stop the ecotourism that's been going to Hawaii for a while.
And people really want to help, but they're, a lot of the president has been getting a bad rap. Well, first, he didn't really talk about it for a long time. And then secondly, he said, what it takes to move a president from one city to the other. Just imagine from one continent, the mainland U.S. to the islands of Hawaii. That's a lot and in the middle of the cleanup and the recovery of the emergency forces and things like that, and to have him and his security staff following and trying to get him in, and he said, he's trying to hold off, and he's gotten a lot of criticism for that, but it makes sense. If you see how the president rolls, you can understand, and it is better if we do donate, Kwynn, to those organizations that are on the ground now and can, let's call Oprah and ask her where we can donate.
Right.
Or President Obama, I think he was a part of a TV and radio marathon to raise funds for people, and we'll talk about what else they're doing in Hawaii.
Something too. Amanda Gorman, the America's Poet Laureate, doing a fundraiser as well. So good too.
If I could, I would go because Hawaii is in my heart. So I just love that place so much. But don't let the people do it. AJ Mine plus the fourth, keep 3 gallons of water per person per day. Wow. Yeah, and think about how much time you can devote to that, because being back online within a day is not the answer. Aubrey W. on YouTube, I have my older sister as my emergency contact as SCY. SCYAO, she'll cuss your ass out. I think I'm going to change it ASAP. And I have it in my phone.
Yes.
And my phone today, because she's not going to cuss your ass out. Yolanda is the ice in my phone, Myra, in case of emergency. Yeah. That's right. That's funny. That's funny. And people might be scared to call her. So
put that in parentheses next to ice. Right, they will get the message, okay?
Charlotte Bowen Bellamy on Facebook says, we have a landline in our home. I have all my numbers in a small book, which I keep in my purse. Also, if you have a safe in your house, like a portable safe or something, keep those things in your safe, because sometimes you'll lose your purse.
Yeah, you brought up your email too, Sybil. You could email yourself pictures of numbers and stuff as well.
Right, exactly. And also the pictures for insurance purposes. Miss Eileen, but most phones have a code. So unless you have your ICE on the front page, they won't be able to get into your phone. And you know what? For some reason, I did not have my phone go off after 30 seconds today. I don't know why.
Oh, cool.
And that's how the person knew to call Yolanda. They saw the ICE and then they called her. But other than that, I really would have been SOL, Miss Eileen.
I do have a landline in my home, and I also have on every level of my house next to the landline, like 4 phone numbers of people to call. If somebody, I don't care if the contractor is there working on the windows and I fall out. What is he gonna do? Yeah. What is he? So yes, I keep numbers right there. And I'm old school like that, y'all. Yes, they are written out with the name, who to call if Myra's on the floor. Yes.
Yolanda asked me, do you know my phone number? And I said, yeah, I do. And she knows mine, but by memory, not just by pushing 1 on your phone. But Kwynn, I think it's a great idea, like your mom not changing her cell number all these years, and I think about mother's knowledge and intuition and knowing the common sense of a mother to know that here's the way we're going to do things in order to keep some sort of continuity within our family in case of an emergency.
Before you guys used to go out when you were younger, did your moms have you send her your friend's address or like their number, like before you guys?
And I never gave her the right ones, and I feel bad about that.
Sybil.
Oh wow! I always gave the direct number because I did not want to get in trouble no matter how far. Because this is when I was in college, and she will always ask me more, whose party is it, or like, where are you going? I need the flyer. Give me their parents' information. I'll just be like, okay, here it is. Boom, boom. Like, and I think that's also like how Black people, we have our safety too. Because in case this is where I told you where I was, and this is the person you can call to follow up.
And think about this. We had an emergency on Howard's campus, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But God forbid something should happen to our children while they're away at college. And you're just getting started. Imagine you're a freshman, your roommate doesn't know your parents, they just, the people that dropped you off or whatever. Think about, how you're going to get word to somebody when you need help. I'm sorry, Myra, you want to have you close this out.
Oh no, I was gonna say I didn't tell my mama because she wouldn't have let me go. But my tribe knew, my girls knew. Somebody always knew where I was.
Yeah. Somebody said when their kids went out, they got the phone and car tag numbers. Period. That's true.
Yeah, that was serious.
The lights.
Yep. Sometimes you need that. Absolutely. And not paper tags. And if you're going to have to do with paper tags.
No.
Let's move to trending topics. And just made reference to this. Have you seen the social media calls for prayers for Howard University over the last couple of days? The DC-based HBCU is dealing with a stabbing and an attack of students on its campus. Officials say the students were attacked by a gang of locals who go around starting fights. And this wasn't just a fight. This was a stabbing was involved, robbed and stabbed. According to the victims of the incident, the attackers were described as a bunch of DC locals who made their way onto campus, which is an open city campus, by the way. It's located on Washington's Shaw District with an open campus setting. And one victim explained they just started kicking us and punching us. We were getting jumped. And during the melee, 2 students escaped and called for help. 2 others were left behind, and one was stabbed by the assailants. He got stabbed in the back. He got beat on by 30 people. They're like 5, 10, 20, 30 people. Some of the descriptions. And they said that they were just frustrated that people weren't calling and getting help soon enough. And that breaks my heart.
It makes me so sad. Yeah.
According to the Howard newspaper, The Hilltop, the victim was robbed of his cell phone and personal items. I heard that a pair of Air Jordans and a cell phone and keys.
Now, it was a heinous act.
Yeah.
But here's the thing to me, just common freaking sense. 30 people gonna jump on one person and take their cell phone and their Jordans. Who gonna wear them? Who gonna wear them? It's 30 of y'all. Really?
They'll split up. Everybody will get a day.
It's just the most idiotic thing. We have to do a better. These young people are trying to get an education. If you don't want to get an education, don't stop anybody else. That's my beef.
Well, and it's not just happening on the campus. They say the crime rates have escalated in DC like they have in Chicago, like they have in Los Angeles, you name the city. And they had an emergency town hall that took place on campus, and the executive vice president for the university gave an update on the response. They said, we've been tracking these juveniles not only on our campus, but throughout the district as well. Over the summertime, they're part of a fight club. And they go to restaurants to instigate fights. So even if you're in DC on business, be careful because they're out there, and it's not just DC. It could be any city, USA. We just have to be very wary and on guard for a lot of these things. And they say it's escalated and it's viral because that's a part of their strategy.
When I visited the Howard campus recently, because they have this really cool shop across the street where they sell shea butter, and I wanted some before I went to New Orleans.
You can't find shea butter in New Orleans.
I didn't trust it. It's so gentrified with white people. I didn't really know where the valid people, the actual residents are. Because I just feel like I encounter all drunk white people when I'm in New Orleans. So I asked my friend who's from DC where I get shea butter from. And from the Ethiopians. But when I went to the Howard campus, I saw those emergency blue lights, for police on every corner. So I don't
Yeah.
understand why the response time was so slow. When we were there, there was like all I heard was whoop whoop about like 10 seconds every time. And I'm like, dang, okay, this place is surveilled. But
Yeah,
like,
and that's what they say.
yeah,
That's what they're promising, Quinn, that they are stepping up. And the chief of the Department of Public Safety said they're continuing to invest in the latest technology to address the concerns. Over the last 8 months, we've installed over 1,000 cameras, both internal and external. And they say they've also installed smart card readers for access control purposes. And he said that's just phase one. That really is for the parents, who are scared now, for their kids as well as the young people. And so I'm just wondering, how do we talk to a niece who is in a city campus? What do we send to her? Because she's coming from, Fort Worth, Texas, and
Mm.
having this discussion in a major metropolis, and you don't want to have to raise your child, and you want some sense of calm and security on a college campus. But the reality is, here we are. It's the city has come to the college campus.
and
The-
I don't want this to damage Howard's reputation either, because I know how the media tends to consume this and make it seem as if HBCUs are just like this really unsafe place and like all this type of stuff. Like there is violence everywhere. JMU has brawls like that often, unfortunately, even just within the students. So I just want to
Hmm.
like put that out there that like please still bring your students to attend HBCUs,
Right.
regardless if you know where they are as well. So.
Yeah, and let's prepare our kids. I mean, we have to prepare them for emergencies, and let's prepare them for what's happening on the streets. Because if we are prepared, we have to do the same for them.
head on a swivel. And follow your gut.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. Surprised anyone to this? Several of the attorneys who spearheaded Donald Trump's frenzied effort to overturn the results of the 2020 election tried and failed to collect payment for the work they did for his political operation, according to testimony to congressional investigators and the Federal Election Commission, the FEC. This is despite the fact that their lawsuits and false claims of election interference helped the Trump campaign, and allied committees raised $250 million in the weeks following the November vote, as well as when the House Select Committee started their investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot. Amongst them, Trump's closest ally, former Mayor Rudy Giuliani. They had a handshake agreement that Giuliani and his team would get paid by the Trump political operation for their post election work, according to attorney for Giuliani, as well as Bernard Kerik, the former police chief of New York City. Affiliated committees ultimately did not honor that pledge, according to the finance records, and it shows that Giuliani's companies were only reimbursed for travel, and not they agreed to knowing they weren't going to pay
Oh,
$20,000 a
oh,
day that he requested. This is going on
oh.
for a while, and I understand that Trump has a history of not paying his bills, and they said that he likely stiffed Giuliani is more striking, given how that much of the work that he did for the Trump operation is detailed in in the RICO filing, by the
So
way.
so this liar basically is upset because that liar didn't pay him
Yeah,
Or
there's
lying.
for
yeah,
lying.
for lying.
For
Right,
Oh, okay.
lying.
I was just
right,
making sure I'm
right.
following it because this is like so interesting to me.
I
So
just
he's
find it.
mad that
There's no honor among thieves. We
Yeah.
should just always know that.
But I actually heard, and this was just funny. I don't know if you saw it in the text feed, Sybil, where they said Giuliani is broke and that he has a 57. He has several debts, but one
I
of
saw
them
that
is
online.
a $57,000 cell phone bill. And I'm thinking, how do
Where
you
they
get a
do that?
57,000? Because some of these they will cut your butt off for 13 cents. You know
yeah,
Right.
what I'm saying?
You're
So
you're a day late. Where's
yeah.
where's the money?
How does he still have a cell phone if he owe $57,000? Because
Right.
I need that service.
okay, yes.
That's
I
what I
need to
need.
know where you can run up a
Exactly.
$57,000
Yes,
phone
they
bill.
said Julie. I heard that this one. He has a $57,000 cell phone debt that they said he hasn't paid it in over a year or so. Yeah, and it's still on. Hello,
Wow.
hello.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Trump investigation, a congressional effort is growing to strip funding from special counsel Jack Smith's prosecution of Donald Trump. If they're trying to take away Jack Smith's money, imagine what the state of Georgia is being prompted to do for the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis. Um, they say that the former president's allies in Congress are trying to find ways to strip funding from his prosecution budget. A series of new proposals, the House Republicans are attempting to prohibit the use of federal money to pay for the investigation in criminal cases against Donald Trump. At least 3 different efforts are already underway. According to some news outlets, they are unlikely to generate any large number of supporters and are being criticized as political posturing. Well, that would be them. And could eventually derail fragile negotiations to avoid a government shutdown, which is like we're within a month of the
Wow.
government shutdown. If they don't come up with an agreement to extend the budget, and I think it's the end of September, so we're about 6 weeks out, and they're on vacation right now.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't think that they should be able to go on vacation. I really don't.
and they should not be
Be
paid, and
paid.
they get
Exactly.
paid during the
Yep.
shutdown too.
Yep. Yep. They shouldn't be paid. Take away the
Absolutely,
health care. Take away when you
everything.
don't do your job. Why should you be paid? Why
Right.
should you get benefits? Take away everything until you do your job. Who else has a job where you cannot do your job but yet you still get paid?
Didn't we shut down before?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And Quinn, oftentimes they get to the end of the year and it's around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does happen. It does happen. Um, so here's the latest, and this is the most disturbing, and this is what people were fearful of about Donald Trump and his just rapid fire tweets or on social media. I don't his post on his social media site. Trump supporters are posting the names and addresses of the grand jurors in Georgia, and they're
Wow.
posting them online. This is how they found Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shay
Mm-hmm.
Moss.
Mm-hmm.
They put her name and addresses out there. A French website has featured the purported names and addresses of Fulton County grand jury that indicted Donald Trump and his cronies and for what they did in the 2020 election. This is why people don't volunteer for jury duty, and this is why people do not want to become election workers anymore because of the fear of something like this happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They should
because
put him under the
they,
jail.
are they going to select new jurors now?
Well, this is the thing. They haven't selected the jurors for this particular for the Georgia trial yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not likely to go hit anytime before January to begin in earnest. Is it January, Myra, or did you
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
another?
No,
So,
that's fine.
um, the fear is that they will do this for the judges, like the black female judge in the federal case in Washington D.C. Put out
Mm-hmm.
information about her and her family and her whereabouts and things like that. There's fear because they did it in the New York State trial, and Donald Trump went running amok with information about the judge and his family and all of this, and Lord knows what they're going to do with the district attorney in Fulton County, Fonnie Willis.
Well, Fonnie Willis, it's been about 2 weeks. When they put up the barriers, and
Hmm.
she had her staff work from home, and she
Yeah.
literally said to them, "Head on a swivel.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
be
Yep.
careful. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And they will send out emails. They sent horrible emails, calling her everything but a child of God.
Hmm.
And it's just, this is where we are. We've got to support our people, though, who are doing the right thing.
Living in Atlanta, I have a lot of Atlanta friends on Facebook, but
Hmm.
it's just so reassuring how many times I see on my feed, we got you, Fonnie. You know, like we got your
Hmm.
back. We got
Hmm.
your back over and over and over again. So yes, the haters will be out, but Fulton County is strong.
Yeah. And
Fulton,
that's why they want to
and
move
they have
that.
they have surrounded this woman, this badass DA, and like y'all done picked the wrong one.
Yeah, you
Okay,
have
because
picked the wrong
we
one.
got her. Yep,
Yep,
we got her.
absolutely. Let's lighten this up a little bit
Okay.
and give kudos in entertainment. From the Kindness Knockout file, Floyd Mayweather is helping about 70 families affected by the Maui fires. Have you all seen this? The boxing
No.
legend has paid for the families affected by the natural disaster, flew them from Maui to Honolulu over the last several days. He's also providing them with hotel rooms for several weeks, as well as food from local restaurants and clothing to wear while they are away from their homes. He's reportedly working with H&M to get clothing for the men, women, and children that he's assisting. That's a great brand and store where everybody can get what they want. And of course, we've been talking about the island of Maui, and especially the Lahaina and the Front Street area, the commercial areas, as well as to the west of the island, devastated by the wildfires that ripped through, killing. There are over 100 deaths reported now. And on top of the tragic loss of life, thousands of structures, many of them historic, homes and other buildings have just burned to the ground. And it does look like an apocalyptic scene out of a movie. Many people have been forced to flee with just the clothing on their backs and nothing else. And that's what we were talking about, your plan, because people who are at home, separated from people at work, a lot of people, and it's really necessary that we, come up with a plan and use this as, unfortunately, the ferocity of it, it really forces us to take a look at where we are and what we're doing, and how to prepare for something like that. It really is necessary. But Kwynn's got it. Her mama got hers trained well.
Okay, keep that thing on me.
Okay. Okay. Ladies, I want to thank you all so much for joining us. And Myra, I did not ask you. I'm sorry. You have gigs coming up?
No.
Oh.
Wait,
Okay.
I'm almost like, wait, do I? No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
nothing.
And
Nothing for the
Kwynn, I
rest
believe you
of
have
this month.
something this
No.
weekend.
I'm gonna be live on TikTok. There's a TikTok page called a Black Girls Poetry, and so each of us are gonna be doing 2 poems Friday at 6 p.m.
Oh, very cool. Very
And
nice.
do we know the TikTok site?
Oh, a Black Girls Poetry.
A Black Girls Poetry. Okay. All right.
Yes.
We're going to close out with today's jewel, daily inspiration. Being open is letting go of your attachment to being right. Ooh. So inhale, being open, and exhale, being closed. As Myra would say, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Thanks so much, ladies. Go out there and be good to each other. Aloha.
Good night.
Thank you. Be safe, everyone.